The financial dumpster fire at the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services was burning long before former Commissioner Ali Friesen was put in charge of the agency. We're going in depth tonight on a new report from the investigative arm of the state legislature released last week that shows money not only was mismanaged for years, but money we set aside for the most vulnerable among us was flat out wasted on pet projects and more. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then the words inside this recent 38-page report are practically worth a Mona Lisa when it comes to figuring out one of the worst financial scandals in recent state government history. Last week, the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency, the investigating arm of the Oklahoma legislature, released a detailed report on how things went so financially wrong at the Oklahoma State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
The report is pretty bad, to say it plainly.
House Majority Leader, Sapulpa Republican Mark Lawson has been the chairman of the committee looking into what happened at the agency responsible for the most vulnerable among us. Lawmakers have for months felt like the agency knew it was in trouble, but when now former Commissioner Ali Friesen was asked for specifics, she and her team couldn't quite get into how and why they got into such a multi-million-dollar predicament.
I think the culture and the practices going on at the department for a long time were insufficient. They were not doing a very good job, if at all, of reconciling their budget to actuals.
The 38-page Loft report just released, Lawson says, shows the department under-budgeted Medicaid costs by more than $60 million, even though it knew how much it really needed. In other cases, some programs were given millions of dollars, but only thousands were spent on actual programs. The rest was squandered on other unrelated agency expenses. The report also highlights 3 expenditures, which were considered part of the problem: an $18 million Super Bowl commercial for the 988 hotline, a $500,000 hip-hop nutcracker Christmas movie, and in the course of 1 year, nearly doubling how much it spent on executive salaries. On top of all of that, any debt they had from previous year cost overruns were being paid for by the current year's budget.
Stealing from Peter to pay Paul, dragging money forward that would be owed, was allocated to another need.
Attorney General Gentner Drummond, like others in power in Oklahoma City, say with all of this going on, it was clear Commissioner Ali Friesen needed to be fired so the agency could get a fresh start.
Instead of addressing the issues, the administration played ostrich until the legislature did the governor's job and removed the commissioner for cause.
If you're wondering what $500,000 of your tax dollars looks like, as mentioned in that report, the hip-hop nutcracker movie is called Finding Carlos. It's a modern twist on a Christmas classic, and there's a mental health lesson in there somewhere. It was a box office flop, released only to a few theaters and seen just by 5,000 people. But hey, you paid for it, so here is a full trailer of what your money went to, actors and all.
If you walk out of this room, you'll be in military school for the next 2 years of your life.
I'm not a child.
Then quit acting like one.
It's my job to care about good kids like you so that you don't go to jail for making bad decisions.
What makes you think I'm a good kid?
Carlos, I'd like to introduce you to your father.
I made it here today to be with you.
The fastest way to calm yourself is the easiest. Breathe.
Don't you want to be free?
Nothing ever works out for me.
You got to let the past stay in the past.
Our history doesn't have to dictate your future. This is just the beginning.
Your tax dollars at work right there. There is one senior communications official within the Department of Mental Health pointed in the Loft report who is also being prosecuted on charges of misusing money. A lot of money. Heath Hayes was the senior director of communications when the agency made Finding Carlos and spent millions on a Super Bowl commercial promoting the 988 mental health hotline, and Hayes is charged with embezzling at least $17,500 from the agency, but court documents suggest it could be much more. Because of his work on the films he used with state money, he has his own IMDb page promoting himself as a filmmaker. Hayes is due back in court for another preliminary hearing on his pending charges next month. The Loft report shows that as a state, we've been throwing a lot of money at this agency, which under normal circumstances wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing because this is where our most vulnerable among us should go for help. Except in this case, the report shows a lot of money was given to the Department of Mental Health, and those who work there and still work there have no idea how to properly manage it or even spend thousands of dollars wisely, and that it's been like this for years, a long time. If you remember a month ago, I spoke about this with Senate Health and Human Services Chairman Paul Racino, who says the money is there and only a little bit was actually embezzled. The former commissioner said when it came to this money, fraud, corruption, embezzlement. When I hear that, I'm thinking somebody took my tax dollars to the Bahamas or something like that. Do you have any indication of where this money went, or is it just in a bank account we don't know about?
So I don't believe there's widespread fraud or corruption. I don't. There wasn't one employee who has been indicted, but we're not talking those kind of monies. We're talking a couple $100,000. So again, I don't think there's wide corruption. I just think that there may be people that didn't understand. And again, when the old commissioner was hired, much of the staff was let go. And so I think people that had institutional knowledge wasn't there anymore to give the information that maybe could have helped. And so I think that they'll try to find that now and hopefully get some people that can do some forensic auditing and find it.
State lawmakers put a Band-Aid on the problem before ending the previous legislative session. They are hoping between the end of May and the beginning of next session in February, more investigations will be concluded. More missing money will be found and major reforms can be put in place when they return next year. There is a new interim director of mental health in place whose job is not only to sort out this mess, but try to find the missing money and set a path forward so this doesn't happen again. Governor Kevin Stitt named this man, Rear Admiral Gregory Slavonic, as the interim commissioner last month. Admiral Slavonic previously served as the director of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs. We are told by the governor he is a strict numbers guy. State Auditor Cindy Byrd is also working on part 2 of her official audit of the agency. That is due out soon. We expect the new director to come out with his own recommendations soon as well. Keep in mind, it even says in the report, we really still don't know how much money is unaccounted for. It started as more than 60 million, then it went down to 40. Now it sits somewhere between 25 and 30 million of your tax dollars still unaccounted for to this day, and we will keep following this.